Get a free love seat this weekend at Wick's Furniture. Choose this beautiful contemporary sofa at Wick's everyday low price of just $699.95 and get the matching $599 love seat free. Prefer country? Buy this charming nylon print sofa, just $699.95 and get the love seat free. Or choose this tasteful traditional sofa and matching love seat, both for just $699.95. Free love seat offer ends Monday night at Wick's Furniture.
Now you can take thick, rich Heinz, America's favorite ketchup, and give it a squeeze.
Give Heinz a squeeze anytime that you please.
Just a little or a lot.
Right on the spot, give Heinz a squeeze. On a burger with cheese.
On a hot dog or a few of these.
Now pourings a breeze.
Introducing Heinz in the new squeezable plastic bottle. Go ahead.
Give Heinz a squeeze.
From WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul, this is the Noon Report. With Bill Carlson, Debbie Ely, Bud Kraling, and Tony Parker.
Good afternoon, everyone. The votes have been counted, and the decision by nearly 6,000 Twin City nurses is to reject their latest contract offer.
Bill, the voting was finally finished around midnight, and the decision was not even close. The nurses representing 17 Twin Cities area hospitals voted 3-1 against the offer. Union leaders had urged the nurses at an earlier meeting to reject the offer. And in a related item on Tuesday, more than 700 United and St. Paul Children's Hospital nurses voted against their latest contract offer. Contracts for both sets of nurses expire May 31st, and neither group can strike before June 1st. Both groups are threatening to strike if no agreement is reached. The hospitals are preparing for possible strikes. And joining us now from the Minnesota Nurses Association office is Karen Paddock. Good afternoon, Karen. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
What is the big issue right now? Is it a matter of language, or is it a matter of money?
The primary issue separating the parties is the ones that relate to employment security for the nurses in these hospitals.
Karen, now that that vote has been taken, have further negotiations been scheduled?
We have no notice of the scheduling of further negotiations. That message would come through the Federal Mediation Service, I would expect.
And what role is the federal mediator playing in all of this right now?
The federal mediators were involved in the negotiations for approximately the last month, and I'm certain that they will continue to attempt to do everything possible to help bring about a settlement between the parties.
Does there seem to be negotiating room on either side that you're aware of, Karen?
We're ready and willing to negotiate whenever we can. We have been informed by the employers that they will and intend to make no further modification of the position that they've given to us.
And those positions, briefly, Karen, are what?
Their position on employment security is one that would continue to allow nurses who have significant amounts of seniority to be laid off, even though there were nurses with less seniority who were qualified to work on an area unaffected by that layoff.
Karen Paddock, thank you very much for joining us today. It certainly will be an issue well worth watching the next couple of weeks. As we said earlier, the area hospitals are making contingency plans if no agreement is reached between the nurses and the hospitals. And joining us now to talk about that part of the story is Michael Phillips. He is the Director of Industrial Relations for Health Employers Incorporated. Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Well, you just heard Karen say that it doesn't appear that the employers are giving much room. Is that the way you see it?
Well, we've directed our whole approach to this for their May 16th meeting. We told them when they indicated that they were going to have the vote on the 16th that we would have our best offer on the table as of that date.
Michael, what sorts of preparations can you make for operating in the absence of the employees?
Well, you have to obviously start reducing your services and start screening your admissions into the hospitals. But the hospital's been preparing for this for some time. This is not a new event. We prepared in 1982 when there was the possibility of a strike, and we've just refined those preparations to take on whatever contingencies might be necessary.
Certainly economic conditions have changed a lot since 1982. Hospitals are extremely competitive these days. You've got a lot at stake if there's a strike.
Certainly there's a lot at stake. There's not only a lot at stake for the survival of the hospitals, but also the implications that has for the nurses as a group. There's a possibility that in the event of a strike and when things get back to some sense of normalcy and the strike is settled, there's a question of whether or not all the nurses will be have jobs, at that time, or also whether or not, or how long it will take for those nurses to get back to work.
Mr. Phillips, thank you very much for joining us this noon. As efforts continue to convince the Russians to change their minds about the Olympic boycott, Poland announced today that it too will support the boycott of the Summer Games. All members of the Warsaw Pact states except Romania have now announced intentions to avoid the Games, as John Sheehan reports from Poland.
The Polish National Olympic Committee convened at its modest headquarters for a formal decision that many felt had already been made. Across the street, keeping vigil on a park bench, was Paweł Skrzyżek, Olympic heavyweight boxer. He was feeling very depressed, he said, because he had been told that Poland would join its allies in boycotting the Los Angeles Games. Some members of the Polish committee are themselves former athletes, such as one-time sprint star Irena Shevchenko.
What should we expect?
We will see.
But the committee was only going through the motions. 2 hours later, Poland, as expected, fell into line with the Soviets. The boycott has taken the heart out of Polish athletes. They see themselves as caught in the middle and powerless. Some were disappointed by the American-led walkout in 1980 and then trained 4 more years for Los Angeles. The Poles wanted a real Olympics.
Aside from the main decision, Polish sports authorities are reviewing several proposals for a communist counter-Olympics. Sources here describe the ideas as only tentative, but say that if the East Bloc does stage consolation games for its own athletes, sportsmen from the United States and other Western countries will be invited. John Sheehan, CBS News, Warsaw.
Meanwhile, American Olympic organizer Peter Ueberroth will be talking with Soviet officials in Lausanne, Switzerland tomorrow to try to get the Soviet Union to send athletes to the Games. Ueberroth is armed with proof from law enforcement officials that the Soviets will be protected if they decide to participate. Bill?
The events in the Persian Gulf in recent weeks have now reportedly led to an offer by the United States to provide air cover to Persian Gulf countries whose oil tankers have been attacked in the Gulf. An emergency meeting about the attacks by foreign ministers of 6 Persian Gulf nations is underway in Saudi Arabia. In the most recent attack yesterday, a U.S.-built Iranian warplane fired at least 5 missiles at a Saudi Arabian tanker in Saudi waters. A fire and extensive damage resulted from that attack. This was the 5th tanker to be attacked in the Gulf since April 25th. The concern in the United States is to do whatever is necessary to keep oil moving through the Gulf. For the second time in less than 3 weeks, federal agents visited the offices of Roush Manufacturing Company last night. The agents seized parts used in missiles and F-15 fighter jets. Sources say the federal officials are concerned Roush may have produced faulty parts used in guidance systems and other military equipment by major defense contractors. Roush officials say they have no knowledge of manufacturing defective parts. The Reagan administration won House approval for fewer than half of the MX missiles it wanted, and those 15 that were approved have strings attached. They're contingent on a Soviet refusal to resume arms talks. The vote in the House was 229 to 199 to approve building the weapons in fiscal 85. The administration wanted 40 of the weapons.
Back to the bargaining table. If they don't come back to the bargaining table, then it's 15 missiles. If they do come back, it's 0. But it's more comfortable to vote for that than to vote for 0. 0 is a pretty final number.
The administration went along with the cut amid threats the whole MX package would be cut from the defense budget. Debbie?
Twins president Calvin Griffith is hoping to reach an agreement by the end of next week to sell majority interest in the team to Minneapolis banker Carl Pohlad. Yesterday, Pohlad watched the game from Calvin Griffith's box. And according to Griffith, the two sides have agreed on a selling price of about $30 million with 20% down. Pohlad said that Griffith would stay with the team. Pohlad also says that he absolutely wants to keep the Twins in Minnesota. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating the emergency landing of a small airplane last night on Highway 55. The pilot is identified as Michael Edwin Gomez. He had 2 passengers in the plane, but no one was injured in the landing. Traffic was rerouted in the area until gas leaking from the plane was washed away by firefighters. The plane was towed to a school parking lot, and the problem now is trying to figure out how to get it somewhere else for repairs. St. Paul police finally apprehended the suspected burglar who refused to come out of a South St. Paul home yesterday. For 11 hours, police surrounded the house trying to talk the 37-year-old man out. After using tear gas, the man was found about 9 o'clock last night in the attic. The standoff started about 11 yesterday morning after police thought they saw a man burglarizing the house. Norwest Bank branch office on the Nicollet Avenue in South Minneapolis was burglarized today. The FBI says that 4 people were spotted leaving the bank around 5 o'clock this morning in an older red and white two-door car. A $5,000 reward is being offered by the Bankers Association for finding the burglars. Rice Lake police are searching for a 29-year-old man who overpowered a guard and escaped from a Lakeview Medical Center overnight. Bradley Hansen was to be arraigned today on charges of first-degree murder for the killing of his estranged wife. Hansen was recuperating from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the medical center. Bill?
Debbie, a Marine Corps court-martial at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, found Corporal Alfred Griffin guilty of being absent without leave when he refused to go to Beirut. Griffin is a black Muslim who feared Allah would punish him if he went. He faces 6 months of hard labor and a discharge for poor conduct. Griffin was once a White House honor guard. Floodwaters 4 feet deep are sending people in Baggs, Wyoming, wading to higher ground. Volunteers filling sandbags say yesterday was the wildest day in Baggs since Butch Cassidy was in town. Cooler temperatures are expected to slow the melting today, but warmer weekend forecasts could put the water right back to the dangerously high levels. And in ski resort areas of Colorado, massive mudslides damaged dozens of expensive homes. Residents are hoping to get back to the area today to salvage some of their belongings. And still to come on the Noon Report, the third part of our series on business espionage.
This week, Montgomery Ward has a great deal on Michelin steel-belted radial tires. Save 35 to 40% on all Michelin tires in all sizes for both imports and domestics. And of course, there's no charge for installation. Buy your tires at Montgomery Ward and we'll rotate them every 5,000 miles absolutely free. Save 35 to 40% on all Michelin steel-belted radial tires now at Montgomery Ward.
Before Frank's, you might have to settle for the same old dinners this summer, but with guaranteed vegetable and flour products from Frank's, it's not necessary. Right now, Frank's has a huge selection of annuals, many at a special price, and a 5-pound box of Frank's water-soluble fertilizer costs only $5.99 right now. After Frank's, you can have a beautiful summer garden with advice from Frank's pros and quality garden products that we guarantee.
Beautiful things begin at Frank's. Frank's Nursery and Crafts.
Is your child one of the most talented kids in the Twin Cities, or maybe the world? Well, get your little star into showbiz. Bring your child into the Showbiz Pizza Place nearest you and register for the Get Your Little Star into Showbiz Talent Contest. Auditions will be held at each Showbiz location June 4th through 7th for kids up to 18. The grand prize winner will win a glamorous trip to Hollywood with their parents and have an interview with a talent agent. Get your little star into Showbiz. You must pre-register, so come to Showbiz and enter today.
I'm Dave Nimmer. In Channel 4's latest consumer series, we'll look at car repairs in the Twin Cities. We took a 1981 American-made car to a mechanic consultant. He fixed everything except a faulty spark plug wire, which made one of the 6 cylinders miss. We then took the same car to 12 local dealers and garages. Did they find the problem? And what did they charge? Our findings in a special consumer series beginning Monday on the 10 p.m. report.
To many, the notion of business espionage conjures up thoughts of detailed plotting and trading secrets in undercover meetings. But to some who practice it, the craft is little more than digging through garbage, as Alan Cox reports.
It may not look like the makings of a tale of industrial espionage, but even the business of making and selling street sweepers has its secrets. It is true that the most security-conscious companies tend to be those in advanced technology and those working with the military. But other firms are learning, sometimes the hard way, about the threat of espionage, and not all of them are corporate giants.
To some extent, it's even more important to smaller firms that are very often not as diversified. And if something goes wrong, it's a catastrophe.
And just as the targets of espionage can be simple, so can the methods. Here's a simulation of a favored technique. One person's garbage can be another's sales lead. That apparently was the case for 2 companies based in Minnesota that make street cleaning equipment. The tenant company sued Advanced Manufacturing. The case began with a tip that employees of Advance were going through the trash from Tennant's regional office in California. Advance began sending notices to its sales force on Tennant's customers and prospective customers. Executives of Advance got copies of Tennant's analysis of their competing products. Advance even named a man who helped rifle the trash Salesman of the Year. Tennant won a court judgment of $100,000. Advance is appealing, arguing in part that Tennant didn't take reasonable precautions to keep confidential material confidential, that Tennant instead treated it like garbage. There is legal uncertainty about the status of garbage. It is, after all, material the owner no longer wants. Courts have issued varying opinions about how much protection that original owner deserves. And it seems to be a popular method to gather intelligence. American Medical Systems of Minnesota suspected a competitor of infringing on its patents for a medical device. A janitor for AMS testified that he was called in by the company president and told, "I would like you to do something a little different." So the janitor approached a garbage collector as he left the headquarters of the competitor, Mentor Corporation. The janitor said he was a government safety inspector, then gave the garbage collector $20 and took Mentor's trash. Photos taken by a private investigator show the janitor driving back to AMS, the competitor, with the trash. The company president later testified that he was trying to analyze the material inside. Mentor is suing for theft of trade secrets. AMS is countersuing, charging Mentor with deceptive trade practices. Security consultants point to cases like these as a need to use paper shredders and to improve procedures generally.
I'd say most of it's preventative. The probability that you're going to detect industrial espionage is not very large.
Security experts say procedures can buy more protection than hardware in the fight against espionage. With photographer Dave Bowden, Alan Cox, WCCO Television News.
Federal regulators and major banks will be helping out the troubled Continental Illinois National Bank and Trust Company of Chicago. The bank will get $2 billion in financial aid. It's the nation's 7th largest bank and trust. Personal income rose 0.5% in April, while spending for Americans went up more than 1%. The government reported that today. That's taken as evidence the economy is regaining some lost momentum. Now taking a look at the Dow Jones stock averages at noon, they are generally down today. Industrials down nearly 9 points. Transportation issues down 7.5 points, and utilities down nearly a point. Debbie?
Comedian Andy Kaufman, who played a zany immigrant auto mechanic in the TV series Taxi, died last night. Kaufman was admitted to the hospital in Los Angeles for lung cancer that was first detected in January. Kaufman played a number of roles in other shows he had been entertaining since he was 8 years old. And American author Irwin Shaw died yesterday of heart problems. Shaw wrote the novel The Young Lions in the late 40s, and more recently, the novel Rich Man, Poor Man. He was 71. And Mount Kilauea is at it again. Its 19th phase of activity. We'll be back with that story and Bud's forecast coming up next.
Menard's Rock Bottom Sale means saving big money on yard and garden care equipment. Keep grass and weeds under control with the Ryan Trimmer. This gasoline-powered 16-inch trimmer is light enough to carry anywhere, rugged enough to tackle tough trimming jobs. The single-handle grip is designed for comfort. The trigger throttle puts easy control at your fingertips. The Ryan Trimmer, a cut above the rest, just $79.99 during the Rock Bottom Sale at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
D'Amelia rigatoni, D'Amelia fettuccini, D'Amelia spaghetti, D'Amelia linguini. All D'Amelia pastas have their origin with only quality ingredients found in Italy. Pure mountain spring water and 100% di semola di grano duro. We say qualità superiore. Now you can enjoy pasta in America that's as good as it is in Italy. Grazie, D'Amelia.
You've got to get away from your city notions about cheese. You've got to come to Land O'Lakes. Out here it takes 4 quarts of milk, that's 8 pounds, to make a single pound of cheese. Rich, full, a creamy kind of honesty. Land O'Lakes 4-quart cheddar, 4-quart American. Fixed our way with stubbornness, pride, and 4 quarts of fresh milk.
Introducing Grandma's Peanut Butter Chocolate Swirl Cookies.
There
Bessie, your new peanut butter chocolate swirl is the cookie that confounds me.
Oh?
It's not hard and dry. It's moist and chewy.
Oh.
And you got real peanut butter flavor and rich, creamy chocolate filling?
Yep.
How'd you get so good so fast at baking cookies?
It's all in the wrist.
New Grandma's brand peanut butter chocolate swirl cookies taste suspiciously close to homemade.
Those 70-degree temperatures have been hanging to the west of us, reluctant to move into the Twin Cities. Well, they've moved in with a vengeance. We're up 5 degrees over the last hour. Sunny and 74 is our present temperature. The Twin Cities, check of the humidity, 55%. The wind is from the southwest at 21 miles an hour. Barometric pressure at 30 inches even, and the pressure is steady. Well, at 5:30 this morning, a few showers southwest of the metro area. Then they moved to the northeast into the Twin Cities about 6:15, but just a trace of precipitation at the airport station. But as the line of showers and thunderstorms moved on to the east, heavier rains in southeastern Minnesota and the west central part of Wisconsin. While it's partly sunny in the Twin Cities, our temperature now at 74 degrees, cloudy at Rochester and only 59 over the last hour. Light showers at Eau Claire, temperature there at 60 degrees. These showers are part of a long line of showers, southeastern Minnesota back to Nebraska, Colorado, heavier thunderstorms in Texas, Brownsville, Texas, 2.5 inches of rain late last night and early morning. And as that cold front moves on to the east, well, it was downright cold this morning in a review of early morning temperatures. Only 12 degrees at Yellowstone, Wyoming, and a number of minimum temperature records set again today. That's 30 morning in a row over the southeast and the eastern states from Mississippi to Virginia. Give you one example. Raleigh, North Carolina this morning, only 36 degrees, while our minimum of the Twin Cities has been 57. Forecast for the day, that cold front to move on to the east and chance of showers and thunderstorms redeveloping in the metro area. Temperatures in the 60s at Spokane and at Portland, Maine. Ahead of the cold front, warm, moist air in the 80s from Memphis to Miami. Hot in the southwest, 97 at Phoenix, and in the mid-70s forecast for Denver today. Here in the metro area, variable cloudiness, chance of showers and thunderstorms redeveloping. We're going to go to about 78 this afternoon, 54 tonight. Southwest winds at 15 to 30. For tomorrow, sunny, and the afternoon temperature at 74 degrees. And just one more note, there is a chance of rain on Saturday.
That's a short and sweet forecast for Friday. Sunny.
Okay.
Nice.
Like
Thank you, bud.
Well, folks, you know, Hawaiians could see Kilauea's last eruption for miles yesterday, and it wasn't even one of the volcano's more spectacular shows. That mountain's volcano has been active since early January, and this is the 19th eruption in recent months. Still to come in the noon report, Jim Palmer and the Baltimore Orioles are calling it quits. Tony Parker has that brief story coming up next.
We've got what it takes. We've got what it takes to make it easy. We've got what it takes to make it good. There's nothing you can't do when you know your true value. We've got what it takes, true value.
The more you have to do, the more you really need True Value hardware stores and home centers.
We've got what it takes, true value.
All across America, soybean farmers are turning to the Basagran system. Basagran alone controls the most important broadleaf weeds, gently and dependably. And Basagran tank mixes control most others. But that's not all.
The Basagran system? To me, it means better value for my money.
Turn to the Basagran system for better performance and better economics. From BASF Wyandotte.
Hello, I'm Catherine Crosby speaking for Coit. When entertaining, it's so important to have everything in your home looking its best. That's why I trust Coit to keep my drapes looking fresh and lovely as new. Coit cleans and rehangs your drapes with perfect pleats, even hems, and no shrinkage.
This month, save 20% during Coit's big sale.
Coit, a name you can trust, and as near as your phone book.
You've got a decision to make. Either you can do nothing and pay rent on your present telephone every month for the rest of your life, or you can buy a telephone from Northwestern Bell Phones. Buy a telephone that you can count on. Own a telephone that won't let you down. Northwestern Bell Phones, guaranteed for 2 years. When so much depends on your telephone, why take chances? depend on Bell.
Call toll-free for the retailer nearest you.
Well, three-time Cy Young Award winner Jim Palmer has asked for and received his unconditional release from the Baltimore Orioles. Palmer, who spent his entire 19-year career with the Orioles, said he'll try to catch on with another major league club. The 38-year-old right-hander has won 268 games, says he wants to try for 300. Palmer, whose career has included a lucrative endorsement contract for men's underwear, has been a starter through his entire career until being used as a relief pitcher this season. The club had offered to retire him and keep him in the organization at the same six-figure salary, but Palmer says he wants to test the free agent market before making a decision. You know, the Twins might think about making Palmer an offer now that the club's bank balance is being swelled by that ticket buyout money, and especially after Ron Davis's 2 consecutive flops coming out of the bullpen against Toronto. Davis gave up the game-winning hits both yesterday and the night before. Rick Leach's triple here with 2 on was the big blow yesterday that gave Toronto a come-from-behind 8-7 victory. In the 2 games against the Blue Jays, Davis gave up 7 runs, 6 earned in just 2 1/3 innings. Ron has 7 saves to his credit, which makes him second best in the American League. His earned run average of 7.59 indicates that he should try harder. The loss dropped the Twins into a second-place tie, a half game behind California. The Twins are off today. They open a weekend series with the Boston Red Sox tomorrow night in the Metrodome. Well, thanks to the big bat of St. Paul native Dave Winfield, the New York Yankees are starting to show some life this season. The Yankee slugger hit his 5th homer of the year last night, leading the Yanks to their 4th straight win. New York topped Oakland 7-6 on Dave's 2-run shot in the bottom of the 10th. He also drove in a run with a single in the 5th. The Yankees have won only 16 games so far, while losing 19. However, they are 8-2 in their last 10 contests. But that's not going to do them very much good. They're still only in 5th place in that American League East Division race, where Detroit, with a record in their past 10 games of 9-1, lead the pack by 8 full games. They're mighty tough to catch.
Tony, if Carl Pohlad did buy the Twins, isn't it true that there will be a management, Calvin will have a management contract? Hasn't that been one of his qualifications for sale?
Yeah, the understanding is Calvin wants 5 years to age 77 for him as a management contract in the sale, yes.
So would the policies of the Twins in terms of hiring and firing and holding on to major talent change?
I think policies will change little, except perhaps Calvin will not have as much to say publicly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Tony.
Chapter 2 to a story we told you about yesterday. There's only a handful of players left out of the original 132 in the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. Each player hoping for the hands to take $666,000. George Knapp reports from Las Vegas.
Damon Runyon once wrote that the odds on life are 6-5 against. The odds aren't nearly that good in Las Vegas at the World Series of Poker. The big names have been dropping faster than nickels into a slot machine. The Kid got KO'd, Dolly was duped, even Slim was slammed. As the field has narrowed, the stakes have ballooned, with pots of $250,000 to $300,000 a common occurrence. It's even expensive just to ante up, $400 a hand.
Right now with the antes and blinds, it costs you approximately $18,000 an hour if you don't play a hand.
When the new champion rakes in the last of the chips sometime late Thursday or early Friday, he'll do much better than break even, $660,000 better. George Knapp for CBS News, Las Vegas.
That's it for us. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow.
And join our colleagues at 5, 6, and 10. Have a good day.
Introducing Listen and Look books, books with cassettes that bring your child's favorite stories to life.
Garfield charged fearlessly on.
Stand aside, creep.
Time to turn the page. There are exciting adventures like G.I. Joe.
Get us out of here, Ace! Yo, Joe!
Come get him, Joe! And warm and wonderful stories like My Little Pony.
Applejack was a happy little
One
pony.
more time, Mommy, please. Listen and Look books at toy stores everywhere from Hasbro.
There's a soft, cuddly new arrival at the Carlsons.
It's me, new Snuggle Fabric Softener. Snuggly softness that's really less expensive. I get blankets and towels cuddly. And look, even the longest socks don't cling. And everything's so soft, smells so fresh. Find out how soft Snuggly Soft can be. With me.
New Snuggle Fabric Softener. Snuggly softness that's really less expensive.
How'd you like to go from Minneapolis model to New York cover girl to top French model?
Thursday on PM Magazine, Steve Doyle and Pat Brown catch up with a local woman who's found success in Paris. Then, meet a woman who's been collecting Barbie dolls since they came out 25 years ago. And it's the First Lady of Drag Racing, a